Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. It is September the 21st, and these are some of the headlines on bizarrebus.com. Horrific experiments on monkeys being performed in Belgian labs. Employers using PIs to prove workers didn't get infected on jobs from the COVID, I guess. All passengers on Epstein's flight logs to be named, sparking panic. I guess this includes 3 type of planes now. And humpback whale finds escape from Australian crocodile infested river. All of these and more at bizarrebus.com.
bizarrebus.com. Real news, no bullshit.
A woman named Jen Hockmuth, a toxicologist and campaign coordinator for animal rights, said animal experiments are not legally required for the development of new medicines. According to her, they are useless and cruel experiments that only serve to satisfy the curiosity of scientists lacking compassion. The brain experiments on monkeys are not a necessary evil, but a plain evil. She told The Sun that the brain experiments in Belgium allegedly caused the monkeys a lot of suffering. To be able to measure their brain activity, all test monkeys have electrodes implanted into the brain via boreholes into their skull. Cement is used to attach a fixation rod or hat to the skull for brain measurements. The animals have to go through heavy training programs for months and are put on strict water diets to force them to cooperate with the researchers. Their group has blasted the Flemish government for awarding close to €2 million in 2019 to KU Leuven, to finance brain experiments on 12 monkeys. At the end of the journey, almost all the experimental animals will be killed, it alleges. Campaigners have demanded public funds be channeled into alternative animal-free experiments. The group said that according to government information, 3 new animal testing projects on the monkeys have been started in 2020 at KU Leuven. It said over the next 4 years, no less than 12 monkeys will undergo major brain operations. There's some pretty horrific pictures here, dude. Just saying. And an opinion poll found that a large majority of Belgians state that experiments on monkeys, as well as all other animals, should be banned. It really should. I'm just not sure how else we test stuff. Or do you go straight to human trial without experimentation? I mean, we test makeup, food, we test medical medicines, everything on other stuff before it's entered into human trial, and sometimes it can take years. So where does it end? When does it end so that these poor creatures, I'm not a PETA person necessarily, but I do think it's terrible that these things happen. But hey, I'll just keep reading. On its website, the UNI explains that unfortunately there are not enough good alternatives available to completely replace all animals involved in research. And that's true. I mean, dude, KU Leuven says the test tube experiments and computer programs can provide some, but not all, the necessary information for brain research. The institution adds nearly 1 in 3 Europeans is faced with a disorder of the brain or central nervous system in their lifetime. These can be diverse types of disorders such as migraine, epilepsy, hearing problems, visual problems, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. I mean, how else do you think these breakthroughs or help in technologies and medicines happen? I know this is something we don't like to think about, but it happens every day, dude. But still, monkeys, any animal suffering is not good. Given the ongoing aging of the population, the number of patients with brain disorders will continue to increase. In the longer term, fundamental research into the function of the brain may benefit many tens of millions of people. We use mice, rats, and monkeys for this type of research, said KU Leuven. Research on complex brain functions, such as those enabling grasping of objects can only be done on the monkey species because other animal species do not have these functions, or rather, they're not primates, so they don't have the same, hands. You know what I'm saying? They have paws and such. Research on complex brain functions, such as those enabling grasping. So I think that's where the line is drawn with the monkeys. For example, animal experiments have confirmed that brain injury and obesity, but also physical and mental inactivity, increase the risk of Alzheimer's developing. Last year, The Sun shared footage showing the allegedly harrowing treatment of monkeys and dogs at a lab in Germany. According to activist group, monkeys were strapped in metal harnesses and kept in tiny containers, while cats and dogs were left bleeding and dying following toxicity testing at the laboratory near Hamburg. And the issue is they're smart. They can see what's going on around them. They know what the impending doom is. That's the worst part. There is a video. There's photos. It's awful, but I will link it at bizarrebest.com. Not only are some people having to sign a contract when they go back to work that they can't sue their employer if they get COVID, employers using private investigators to prove employees didn't get COVID at work. Contract tracers aren't the only ones tracking where you got coronavirus. A local private investigator is using social media and public records to help employers prove their employees didn't get it at work. From grocery stores to restaurants, there's no shortage of jobs or places where people might be exposed to coronavirus. A new law intended to protect California workers now classifies COVID-19 as an injury under workers' compensation if you contracted it within 14 days of an outbreak at work. An outbreak is defined as 4 employees with COVID-19 for a small business. That's under 100 employees, or 4% of all employees at a larger one, more than 100 employees. The law assumes people contracted the virus at work unless their employer can prove otherwise, and that's where private investigator Chris Champlin comes in. There's a lot of information out there that people love to put on social media, he said. Through public records and social media sleuthing, it's his job to identify where else she might have been exposed. So all those public posts about checking into the movie theater or restaurants or whatever you're doing in your pastime, this dude can see it. Protests, the large gatherings, if you were there or a friend of a friend was there, we can identify that on social media. Dude, that's messed up. He says in addition to the employee, they investigate everyone in their household and social circle too. He looks for any behavior that might be exposed to you or a close contact, including eating out. So it's not safe to eat out. I haven't, but I'm just saying it's probably not. And these dudes are saying it too. In light of a new CDC report that finds people who've tested positive for the virus were twice as likely to have eaten at a restaurant, food selfies are now a red flag. Champlin was asked by the news what he would say to people who might criticize him for protecting businesses at the expense of employees. And he says, well, right now a lot of businesses are failing because of shutdowns. He says many are taking precautions and following the guidelines, and workers' comp claims can be costly for small businesses. Because COVID-19 could lead to long-term health issues like lung or heart problems, the claims can be ongoing, which is why his searches go beyond virus exposure. Are they a smoker? Do they have prior respiratory conditions? You're on the hook for that under these new California guidelines for long-term care or future medical benefits. So if we can preserve information right now that might help in the future, that's what's critical. So let's just say that you have a job and they're already taking screenshots of your public posts on social media before you even get COVID. So they know your routine, dude. It's total, they're totally watching you. Your employers are probably way ahead of time. He also provided a list of questions he recommends employers ask staff if they get coronavirus, which could be useful for employees to review. Well, I'll say that's something else, man. That's another Big Brother hit, in my opinion. Doesn't sound cool to me. So anyone hanging out, you're working and you might be hanging out doing something fun. Probably don't want to put that on social media. I'm going to link this at bizarreabyss.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Genetic Nightmare. I'm here to tell you about the sweet, sweet t-shirt from bizarreabyss.com. Bizarre Abyss is also Bizarre Teacher and Bizarre Nurse. Please check them out here on TikTok. They have some pretty sweet and unusual news, not to mention sweet merchandise. Here is my shirt that I just recently got. Black holes eat matter. I'm gonna strut down the street with this shirt on. Oh yes. Anyway, I hope you do check them out and check out their sweet merchandise. The shirt's pretty sweet.
Dude, it's Bizarre Abyss headlines, 100% unfiltered. There's a lot of people concerned. All passengers on Epstein's flight logs to be named, sparking panic among rich pals. The Attorney General for the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein had a home, has demanded logs for his 4 helicopters and 3 planes. Oh my, it's 7 flight vehicles from 1998 to his supposed suicide last year. Logs for every flight made by Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft over 21 years has been subpoenaed, sparking panic among his rich and famous pals. The Attorney General for the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein had a home, has demanded the logs. Denise George has filed a lawsuit against Epstein's estate alleging 22 counts, including aggravated rape, child abuse and neglect, human trafficking, forced labor, and prostitution, as well as the passenger lists. Miss George is seeking any complaints or reports of potentially suspicious conduct and any personal notes the pilots made. The subpoena demands the names and contact details of anyone who worked for the pilots or who interacted or observed Jeffrey Epstein or any other passengers associated with him. One of those passengers was also named as Naomi Campbell. Dude. Pilot David Rogers provided logs in 2009 showing Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Naomi Campbell, and those are just a few among those who flew on Epstein's Lolita Express. They dubbed it. It is not suggested they were aware of his wrongdoings. Lawyers for the victims say the 2009 logs did not include flights made by Chief Pilot Larry Vysotsky, who flew for Epstein for more than 25 years. Well, yeah, he'd be an interesting one to talk to. The legal source said the records have been subpoenaed and will make the ones Rogers provided look like a Post-it note. Dude! There's panic among the rich and famous. Prince Andrew's friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is in jail awaiting trial on grooming and sex abuse charges, often piloted helicopters to Epstein's private island. Well, this is something that I'm sure remains to be continued. And when it pops up, I'll bring it to you. I'll link it at bizarreabyss.com. Finally, tonight, some good news about a whale. A humpback whale that took a wrong turn into a crocodile-infested river in Australia has safely returned to sea. The whale was first seen in the Northern Territory River over a week ago, prompting fears it may get stuck in shallow waters or hit by a boat. 2 others also swam into the East Alligator River for a short time before returning to their sea migration. The remaining whale managed to find its way out over the week during a high tide, Parks Australia said on Monday. It is the first known instance of a humpback whale in the river in the Kakadu National Park on the country's northern coast. I apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly. A Officials had been monitoring the final whale closely since it was spotted up to 18 and a half miles inland by people on boats. Given its large size, the humpback had been considered unlikely to be disturbed by crocodiles since it became stranded. There's no way we can lift a 12 to 16 meter humpback whale off the sandbar, and that's potentially when the crocs would kick in. Dude. Scientist Carol Palmer told the Australian Broadcasting Corporation last week that kick in. I'll say they were just waiting for it to die off, man. I guarantee it. The last thing we want is a collision between a boat and a whale in waters where crocodiles are prevalent and visibility underwater is zero. Parks Australia had added in a statement. Authorities had banned boats along parts of the river to clear the path to the ocean. On Monday, officials said the whale appeared to be in good condition after swimming into the Van Diemen Gulf. Diamond Gulf. This is the very best outcome we could have hoped for, said Dr. Palmer. Dr. Palmer said they weren't sure why these whales took a wrong turn off the country's north coast. It is thought they had been heading south to Antarctica, but mistakenly entered an estuary, which took them further upstream into a river system. Whales migrate to warmer waters off Australia during spring to give birth before heading back to Antarctica to feed. Well, I'm glad it made it, dude. That would suck. Would have been a good meal for some crocs, but that would not be good for whales. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Stay bizarre.
Yeah. Make sure you take a deep breath. Think positive. Just saying.
Dude. Penguins given free rein to roam around the aquarium since there's no visitors allowed. That's awesome. Dude, look. He's looking around. He's loving it. I got a new section on the headlines page at the bottom called Bad Seeds. Matt Gaetz of Florida, 1st Congressional District, mocked the whole process by wearing a gas mask when reviewing the funding. You're a super freaking winner, dude. An Alaska airman has been punished for peeing in the office coffee maker. Dude, why? Like, why? Did you take it in the bathroom with you? Did you stand in the kitchen and whip it out? Clearly, this airman is dedicated to getting kicked the F out. He's trying really hard, y'all.